Terrance Williamson is a senior at Manual Academy, and this year serves as co-captain of the speech team. Last year was his first year on the speech team. In his first tournament, he was with the Illinois Central College Tournament champion in poetry. He finished second place in the Mid-State Six tournament, second place in the Spoon River Valley Regional, and was a sectional qualifier. He is one of the top performers in District 150. He performed at the Elite Graduation, the Manual Academy Black History Program, and drew the attention of the community and some of our district administrators at the first Annual Rammy Awards. He is coached by Mr. Anthony Kramer. Please give your full attention to Mr. Terrance Williamson.
Hello? Is this microphone? Hello? Hello? Okay. I just want to say I'm performing a piece by Adele Malik called Education. I wasn't a big fan of school. I lived in Philly and attended a public elementary school nearby. My mother would walk me to and from school. It was about a mile away. And the best part of my school day was stopping to get cookies from the bakery along the way. I still remember my first day. All the parents walked their kids to their classrooms, and so did my mother. And as we got closer to my room, I could hear kids screaming at the top of their lungs. This girl was holding on to her mother, clawing at her clothes as though her mother was committing a grave sin by leaving her in a classroom where she was forced to sit in a confined desk for 7 hours with complete strangers. Now that I think about it, it wasn't a great first sight at what the next 12 years of my life had in store. But the funny thing is, I don't remember the second day or the third. In fact, the next 12 years of my life seemed like 12 minutes, 12 or so distinct memories that through time seemed to diminish. It's crazy to think how these 12 years of education shaped who I am today. Crazy to think that those 12 years were only yesterday. I wasn't a big fan of school. I would dread waking up in the morning to put on my uniform for another day, for another test to pass, for another teacher to tell me to stop texting during class. It all seemed so tedious. I thought goals to get straight A's were just exaggerated cliches, letters not grades. I had grown accustomed to F, because F is what I would say to the test, to the teachers that taught, to the tests we tore apart for a long time. I felt like that girl on my first day. Being dragged into 12 long years of sitting behind desks, locking lockers, taking tests, I thought school was just a building. I never knew what it meant to be educated until I learned what education meant. I never took school seriously until I realized what it meant to be taught. I never appreciated my teachers until I realized what it meant to be taught, what it meant to seek knowledge that others had not yet sought, what it meant to seek college as the son of parents who at my age could only dream of the thought. See, I wasn't a big fan of school until I became a big fan of me. I didn't realize that teachers were builders and I was what we were building. See, I was lucky that it hadn't been too late, because a lot of this could have been different. I wouldn't have been who I am today. When I was 16, I wrote a similar poem about education. I was sitting in chemistry class, frustrated with protons, neurons, and mass, frustrated with the fact that I wasn't passing a single test. I wrote in my poem, education is fundamental. But the system is a crap load of illogical attempts to try to teach with force rather than implement the doors of wisdom. A few months later, one of my teachers saw that poem on YouTube, and she asked me, is that how you really feel? Is that what you really think? I don't remember how I responded, but I do remember feeling embarrassed, feeling ungrateful, because yes, education is fundamental, and yes, the system needs revision, but before we assess the system, we must first assess ourselves, because it is our final decision to learn and absorb and to take full advantage of the education many others cannot afford. And yes, I wasn't a big fan of homework. I wasn't a big fan of taking tests. I wasn't a big fan of school until I realized what a privilege it is to learn. Until I realized that education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire, and it was my duty to burn. I wasn't a big fan of school until I became a big fan of me, until I realized my education was whatever I made it to be, until I realized my education was my responsibility. Thank you, and have a great school year.